What's the best psychology trick you know? Before we start with the first story, please hit subscribe and ring the notification bell to stay updated with us. Story 1. Any illusion of choice you can give a kid works wonders. It's bedtime. Do you want to go potty or brush teeth first? Do you want green beans or corn with your chicken nuggets tonight? Do you want to clean up the books or the puzzles? I'll throw in one more toddler hack: set timers. 5-minute timer for bath time, bedtime, leaving the park. It gives them some warning, and then you can kind of shift blame. Timer said, buddy, it's time. There's some sort of weird objective authority kids give timers. They might be able to talk mom and dad into skipping cleanup, but you can't argue with a blaring alarm. Combining the two tips, I usually ask my kids if they want a 3, 5, or 7-minute timer. Story 2. My dad used this phrase a lot while I was growing up. Make it easy for them to give you what you want. When asking for something that needs approval or input from someone else, think about the situation from the other person's perspective. Try and anticipate any reason they may say no or disagree and have a rebuttal ready. Even better if you can make it sound like it was their idea in the first place, of that their ideas are going to contribute in some way, or that they'll benefit. Also, body mirroring, body language in general. When you're trying to connect with someone, mirror their body language and keep eye contact. And when interacting with people, try to keep your posture straight and don't close yourself off. Keep your body language open and relaxed, and people will enjoy your company more and be more likely to trust you. Story 3. If you work with someone who you have a stressed relationship with, ask them to teach you something. Even if you already know it, it'll help repair the relationship, and that person I'll never know. One day my dad told me he's disowning me and kicking me out the house. Refused to talk to me anymore either. I pleaded with him to just teach me how to acquire renter's insurance, and after a full hour of asking him, he finally obliged. The more questions I asked, the less angry he got while he was explaining everything, and just started telling me of big red flags to avoid that he ran into when he was my age. I could have easily Googled whatever I needed. I only asked my dad for help as a means to give an opportunity to calm down. That was 2 years ago, and I no longer consider him my father, nor him to me as his son. Story 4. This only really works on people you're close to, or it comes off pedantic. When someone accomplishes something cool like get a job or graduate or get a promotion or whatever, say the normal congratulations, good job. They'll say something dismissive like, thanks. But then you reiterate the compliment, no, really, that's so amazing. You should be really proud. That's just so cool. And you force them to sit in the compliment. Most people are really avoidant of being the center of attention, but everyone deserves to be sometimes. So I just draw it out and get all annoying about it. Force them to feel the love. I've made several people cry with the above. Not that it's the goal, but it definitely works. Story 5. Just because someone asks you a question, it doesn't mean they get to decide what sort of answers they can get. If you're asked about a complicated topic, it's okay to say I don't think I have enough information, or I think I need to think about it better for an answer, if you don't feel comfortable answering. I sort of use this tactic in job interviews. I'll strategically pick a question I have a confident answer to, but I'll say that's a great question. Can we move on to the next one so I can think about it a little more? Then a few questions later, I will tie it back to the older question and give my pre-planned answer. It shows that I'm not afraid to admit when I need to think about something further, and also that I can multitask, thinking about their question while answering others. This can be a tough one if you don't know the answers to the next questions though. Story 6. When someone tells you something you find offensive and then tries to play it off as a joke, ask them to explain the joke to you. Awkward silence ensues. Strongly depends on whether that person has anything in them that can understand it might be offensive. You'll often get dug-in responses to this too. That said, it does work on casually racist, sexist coworker who has to backtrack into, cause black people or whatever. I've seen that stop those kinds of jokes without conflict, or at least stop them from being told around me. Story 7. Your subconscious listens to how you talk to yourself. It listens to your wants, needs, and goals. It tries to make these a reality, in the background, influencing your every decision. If you talk positively about yourself and your goals, your subconscious will try to make that happen. If you talk negatively about yourself and your goals, your subconscious will try to make that happen. You can trick your subconscious by saying positive things when things are going bad. One study showed that this type of behavior, positive reinforcement, helped most patients more than any medicine did. TLDR. Stop thinking negatively about yourself. Story 8. Not really a psychology trick. just an effective way to make yourself clear. Taught to me by a CAHP officer when I was helping direct traffic at a marathon. If you have to direct traffic, the best way to do it is use 2 fingers. Point at the driver of the car, then purposely sweep that hand along the ground in the direction you want that car to go. It makes it very clear to the driver what you want them to do. You effectively draw a path on the ground for the driver to follow. If you want them to go to your right, then use your right hand. If you want them to go to your left, then use your left hand. This works better than any other hand signals or yelling you can use. Story 9. Asking someone what color their shirt is before rock, paper, scissors. They will almost always throw out scissors. Not sure on the relation, but I've used it as a party trick many times. Obviously, the person you're playing can't know the trick. I got 5 people in a row once with it at a party. I feel like people rarely ever choose rock. I basically always pick rock as long as the other person doesn't know me particularly well. It seems to work too well to be pure coincidence. Maybe scissors is just the default for most people. Story 10. Thank people at the end of a conversation. It makes a big difference in how the entire conversation was perceived and builds a better relationship. Also, super simple, be nice to people when calling customer service in your phone, really customer service people in general. When they ask if you are okay being put on how, respond with, "Of course, you're the one helping me after all." It's also helpful to ask for their name if you missed it at the beginning of the call. Everyone is faceless to them, just as they are to the callers, and using their name makes a huge difference. They'll want to do more for you, and you're helping the next callers by helping your experience be better for the reps. Story 11. How about the old Ben Franklin classic? People will like you more and be more willing to help you if you ask them for a small, harmless favor. If someone seems to be clashing with you, asking them for help or to do something innocuous for you can actually help that dynamic. It's like their subconscious observes them doing something for you and assumes, "Oh, I guess I helped that person, I must like them." By that token, our own brains often work this way. Somewhere deep down, we observe our own behavior and use that to inform our sense of self. It's why fake it till you make it works. For example, if you need to work on your discipline, pick one small thing, e.g., doing the dishes every day or waking up on the first alarm, and do it every day. Your brain starts to believe, "Oh, I can do something I don't want to do reliably every single day. I must be somewhat disciplined," and it will get easier to work on more or larger habits. Story 12. Doing open loops with people. We as people like to solution about a lot of stuff. So when I have discussions with certain people, I end an idea with, "Who knows?" or "I wonder." E.g., "I'm curious to know how X was built. I wonder." Or "I wonder how they even considered this idea." Or "I don't know how they managed to achieve X. Who knows?" More than 90% of people jump in to close the scenario even if they don't know the answer themselves. They fill it in with an assumption, and it works on a lot of people. It's called closing the loop for an idea. People go crazy trying to close it in their minds. TV shows use this technique all the time in the last 5 minutes of a show. They leave things in suspense and open a few loops so you have this urge to close it by watching the next show. Also in books or email sequences, they'll end with an open loop or a hint to a curious problem but won't tell you the solution. You need to read the next chapter to find out how X really was solved. To amp this up, you can add the concept of increasing the curiosity of something by giving it a code word. Story 13. This might be straight up sociopathic and requires a degree of subtlety, but when you need someone to feel comfortable around you, and in turn, like or respect you, pay very close attention to their mannerisms and how they speak. Later, when you have an opportunity to do so, imitate them. This works well on job sites and with in-laws, SO extended family, and especially well when you need to perform a task. People tend to think their way is the best way, and if they ask you to do something and you do it the exact same way as them, they immediately respect you. A simple non-job specific example that mother-in-laws generally notice is how you set the table. Go to GFS mom's house. Pay attention how she set the table, then set yours the same way when they come over. My favorite example was my GFS dad invited us over for Canada BBQ, and he was behind and asked me to mow the lawn while he prepped meat. This was already a great honor, lol. Having watched him mow the lawn a couple times before, I did it exactly the same way he does, and when I was done, he said, "Wow, you did that exactly how I would have you." Must have a good head on ya. I love this because it literally has nothing to do with the head on me, but simply just imitating him earned respect. There are a million things one can observe and imitate, endless opportunities to pick and choose which ones you want to do. That's the most important part, as to not give up your identity and get lost in imitation. You still want to do some things your own way, but even your own way is often something you're learned through a parent or someone else. Your entire life growing up is basically you getting by imitating stuff you learn from others. You are very experienced at it. Use it to your advantage when it suits you. Story 14. This is a debate psych trick. I have to debate for a living a lot. I publish and present research, and part of doing that is being challenged on stage on your work. This trick works well on the internet too, and I have literally been banned from a sub before that allowed debate for being too good at debating to continue. The trick is to flip burden of proof onto the other party. Essentially, all questions and discussions should lead to the other person providing evidence and defending a stance. You can do this as first or second responder. Either lead by asking them to defend a position, or if someone challenges your position, you turn the conversation into them having to defend their own attack. As a scientist, I can tell you no research is perfect. You can show me literally any journal publication, and I can read it and then discredit it because of some major flaw that is in it. I have to review a journal papers as part of my job, so I know there is always a problem. Well, that means you can find a major flaw in anything. People naturally defend their own position, and by keeping the conversation on the major flaw in their argument, they naturally defend a losing point. Story 15. Instead of telling someone who is upset to calm down, tell them that you need them to slow down so you don't miss any of their concerns. Instead of asking whether someone has any questions, ask them what questions they have. The presumption that they have questions forces them to think critically and identify any lingering concerns on the spot instead of coming back after the fact. Whether in negotiations or interrogations, silence is the best way to get people to divulge more because the silence makes them uncomfortable. When trying to get to know someone better or collect information about something, do not ask them what they know or what they can tell you about the topic. Instead, say, "Tell me about it." Automatically establishes you in a position of authority in this phase of the conversation, and people will naturally divulge more than they otherwise would have. When you need someone to make a decision, do not leave it open-ended. Give a set number of options and have them pick from that list. That will prevent the "I don't know. What do you want? Think, eat, CT." Alright folks, that's a wrap. If you like this, please hit the thumbs up and subscribe to the channel. You can also share your those in the comment below.